Welcome to CAM Matters, Condos, Co-ops, HOAs, and beyond. Betsy Barbieux is an informational leader in Florida on community association living, rights, and obligations. She is an expert on the rights and obligations of owners as well as the association. If you live or are planning to live in the state of Florida, there's a good chance you'll be part of a community association. And by the end of this show, you'll know a little bit more about community associations and why they matter.
Hi, and welcome to the February 2025 edition of CAM Matters. I'm your host, Suzanne Lynn, with my special friend, Betsy Barbieux. And Betsy, I just want to make sure that I'm confused because the locations that we're in, I'm pretty sure I'm the one in Florida based on how we're dressed, and you're the one up in the Northeast, right?
That's what it looks like,
It
doesn't it? Yeah.
So how cold in Florida did it get that you're all bundled up? Because we're talking about like special underwear and scarves.
Well, yeah, I've got long
Yeah.
underwear,
Yeah.
sweater, scarf. Yeah. I'm cold natured. I think it was 40 this morning, but it never
Oh
got
my
warm
goodness.
today, and it stayed
Oh,
cloudy
that's
until a little while ago. So it's just cold when it's like that. And I
well,
think we'll get into the 30s tonight. But
okay.
you know,
Well, we had a winter weather advisory this morning, and I thought, well, I better wear a long sleeve shirt, So that's what we're at. But
you've turned into a Yankee.
I have very quickly. Listen, we have got a lot to jump into. We're going to be talking about, the board going plumb crazy. The governor signing things, and now there's more training that's needed. Why don't you jump in and just start about what the governor signed, and maybe we'll start with managers,
Okay.
and then move into board membership.
Yeah, there's new education requirements for managers and condo board members and HOA board members. There's no change at the moment for co-op board members. So let's start with the managers, which is the craziest thing. It comes from the Hammock Dunes lawsuit down in South Florida. Apparently, in that HOA, board members and management company did bad things. And so true to form, the legislators just threw in some legislation to say, look, we did something about it.
Right.
But what they did, they didn't ask me. They just,
I see a pattern.
there's implementing what they've created is just about impossible to do in a class full of managers that have condo and co-op managers as well as HOA. So I'm having a challenge.
Clumping them all together, and it's just senseless. Okay.
It's crazy. But what the HOA managers now have to do, you as a manager, you should have already gotten an email alert from the DBPR saying that if you manage an HOA, you have to register that fact with the DBPR. When you do, they're going to add 3 hours of HOA record keeping to your continuing ed requirement, and they're going to add 2 hours of other HOA management to your continuing ed requirements. That's in addition to, this is where I'm not sure. That's in addition to the 15 that you're already supposed to have.
Okay.
My challenge is record keeping. It takes about 15 minutes to teach. That I'm not sure how to stretch that into 3 hours.
Coffee and scones, chicken salad sandwiches. I don't know.
Takes 4 semesters at a minimum in college to learn. So I don't know how you're supposed to teach anything like that. And as far I manage condos and HOAs, and I'm on a consulting retainer for half a dozen co-ops. And managing them is basically no different. You still have all the different kinds of maintenance, and you still have all the people issues. You still have all the violations. So I don't know what I would teach differently on managing to an HOA manager. So I have between now and August to figure that out and create a couple of classes to add to the yearly educational summit in August.
It feels like, Betsy, you've got this puzzle, and then we're going to be talking about board members, which brings more puzzle pieces. And you've got this puzzle, and every time they pass legislation, you're forced to create this unusual puzzle piece and jam it in somewhere that's unnatural.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
For the condo board members, they have now dictated that the certification class has to be 4 hours. I've always had a 4-hour board certification class, so that's no problem for me. What I've done is had that class reapproved under the new statutes. And I would caution those who are taking a 4-hour class, be sure that whoever you're taking it from has been reapproved under the new law.
Or you're taking an old
Or you're
expired
taking an
course that
old
might
one
not
that
apply.
might not really be approved.
Right.
And when they gave me the reapproval, they also gave me a particular certificate of completion to hand out.
Okay.
So it has the state of Florida seal and DBPR seal and stuff on it. So I'm thinking that you should be getting a different kind of certificate that looks much more official.
Okay.
So that's part of what they've added to condominium. You have to take a 4-hour class. And you have to sign the statement, which used to be an option. We always call it the perjury statement, because it's the statement that says, I've read all my documents, I totally understand my fiduciary duty, and I will faithfully uphold my duty. So we just call that the perjury statement, because we know they haven't read their documents and they don't know what fiduciary duty is. So
Don't mind fine print. Let's
Yeah.
keep on moving. Yeah.
So now condo board members have to do both. They have to take a class, 4-hour class, and sign the statement. And every year on an annual anniversary of taking their certification class, they have to take a 1-hour continuing ed class. Now, who monitors that?
How's that accountable? Who are you accountable to?
Your certificate will go to the secretary of the association. It will become an official record, and an owner can make a request to see it. And if they don't have it, I guess you get excused from the board. I just don't know how that there's a really good way to monitor that 1 hour, and it's on an annual basis. So that means each person on your board could have a different anniversary date of when they took the original class.
Right.
Likely.
Yeah.
I don't, because not everybody takes the class at the same time.
Right.
And this is a volunteer position. You don't.
It's already hard enough. Exactly. That's where I was going. It's hard enough to get board members.
You don't have a license to report the continuing ed to. So to take and my little board members, they've been on the board for years and years and years. There's nobody else to be on the board. There's nobody else who runs. I can't make them to sit in class over and over and over again and listen to me over and over and over again. I talk to them over and over and over again at meetings about what they should do. I don't know what else I could bring them in and teach them for an hour. I don't know. It's just hard.
There's just so many questions. Why is this legislation getting signed? What is the quick fix that they think they're taking care of that's creating massive headaches long term?
Nothing here. They're taking care of nothing. But boy, we want you to know that we the legislators heard, and we're going to do something about it. Well, you've done nothing, actually. And the thing is that for a lot of us, we teach all three types of board members: condo, co-op, and HOA. I teach all three.
Right.
And most of the time, they're all in class at the same time. So I'm now having to split out more and more and more. You all sit over here, you all sit here, and you all sit over there. Now you all listen to me here, but don't listen to me over here.
Right.
And so it has become more confusing.
Absolutely. And the state of Florida, my goodness, it's not like some that you can say, well, let's just kind of let this slide or whatever. Like this is the community living is such a big,
it's a huge
deal.
industry.
Exactly.
It's a huge industry.
And it feels like sometimes they're like dragging
But
dragging you along. All
but
right, well,
it's
let's try it this way.
they're
What's next?
making it harder to get board member volunteers.
Yeah.
The there was no change for the co-op board members at the moment, so they can either take a class or sign the perjury statement. So right now, there's no change for them. Co-op legislation seems to fall behind the others.
Okay.
Eventually, it'll catch up. But right now, they are able to take a class. There's not a time frame for that class,
Okay.
or take or sign the statement. For condo, it's and. They take a 4-hour class and sign the statement. For co-op, it's take a class, approved class, which I do have,
Yeah.
and or
Betsy Barbieux is getting confused. That's it. We've lost control. Betsy, let's take a quick break. I want to come back on the other side and keep talking about this. We'll be right back.
okay.
Are you ready for a new career? Do you have skills or interest in management, real estate, construction, maintenance, accounting, strategic planning, project management, budgets, human resource management, lawn and landscaping, pool services, or any other expertise needed to operate a community association? If you do, community association management could be for you. For more information, feel free to email Betsy at betsy@floridacamschools.com or visit the Florida Cam Schools website at www.floridacamschools.com. Florida Community Association Management continues to grow. Career opportunities abound.
Welcome back. We're glad that you're here at the February 2025 edition of CAM Matters. And Betsy, let's just jump in because we got even worse news. We're gonna end on a positive note somehow, but this legislation that's been signed is just in crazy land right now. Would you just kind of recap what's happened and then we'll talk about HOAs?
Yeah, we talked about the new requirement for education for HOA managers. We talked about the new requirement for condo board members. And then we just talked briefly about no change right now for co-op board members. But HOA, oh my gosh.
Buckle in.
They have to take a class.
All right, this is board members, HOA board
members, HOA board members.
Okay.
Yeah, they hit HOA on both sides, managers and board members. They
Okay.
hit them on both sides.
Okay.
So HOA board members have to take a certification class that's been approved. And so again, my classes are all reapproved under the new law for condo, co-op, and HOA. And I got the brand new certificate
Nice.
with it that I'm supposed to hand out when they complete the class. The HOA initial class doesn't say how long it has to be, but mine are all 4 hours. So that's just what you get when you come to me.
Right.
But what they added to HOA for board members is if you're a board member in a community with under 2,500 parcels or lots, you have to have 4 hours of continuing education every year.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what you would teach for 4 hours extra to a board member.
What are they suggesting? What is the point?
They're right at the moment. I have seen no curriculum for that. And for my purposes, they can just come back and take the regular class again. But it's every year. And I don't know how you're going to monitor that. I don't know how you're going to get board members to do that every year. But it gets worse. If you are a board member in a community of more than 2,500 homes, you have to have 8 hours of continuing ed every year that you serve on the board.
That's
Now
a full day off work for some people.
You tell me, what kind of board member are you going to have, which is like none.
It's already hard enough.
The state, the DBPR, seems to be offering 1 hour increments or 1.5 hour, 1 or 1.5 hour increments of some of those hours. But I just don't think board members are going to sit in front of a computer and do an online class.
Right. It feels like when there's an issue, all they do is pass legislation for more training. Okay, pretty soon you're going to need a whole week of training, but does it quiet the problem down for a little while? Like, what are they
But
really
but
solving?
then last last year, they also eliminated all training for managers who've managed more than 10 years. So,
Which on the other end is completely crazy because there's
and
new laws that are constantly coming out and
the
changing.
new the
Yeah.
new laws that are coming out, you can't not have training if you're going to continue to be a manager. So what
Betsy, are they listening to community association manager leaders
they
like
only
you?
listen to South Florida people, in my opinion.
Really? They are not listening to the people who are on the front lines.
They don't apparently ask anybody who actually has to implement what they do. The the elimination of training at all is counterproductive to adding 5 more hours of training for HOA managers. They did it at the same time.
It's
You don't have to have any classes, but you gotta have 5 more.
it's almost laughable if it weren't
It
so
it
sad. The
and
the thing is it makes it extra sad because a lot of these, people who are sitting on community boards they're senior citizens. I
yeah,
mean, this
you know,
is this is a lot.
it is, and the idea that there's a circumstance where a manager doesn't have to have any more training at all is crazy because, like you said, the
Right.
laws change every year, so you
I
need to require them to at least take the legal update each year.
Yeah.
But what I've heard on kind of segue their um, management companies, when they hire managers, they're requiring managers to take their continuing ed, even if they're exempt, which is
Okay.
a good practice. And
Mm.
I would advise that of community associations. If you're hiring a manager who is exempt from continuing ed, you should require it in their contract that they have to have all of their continuing ed. To be exempt from continuing ed is crazy, especially when you look at the other end of the law where they added all all of this training in,
Right.
not just for HOA managers, but for board members. And I just don't know how you enforce a 4-hour continuing ed on a board member, much less an 8-hour continuing ed. And again, continuing ed to me implies that you have a license and
Mhm.
that you have a
Right.
place to report that to.
Right, right.
I've seen some information that came from the division that says that the president of the association is supposed to sign an affidavit acknowledging that all of his board members have had the training.
Mm.
That's not in the law.
Mhm.
And I can't imagine any board member president signing an affidavit acknowledging that all my board members have had training.
Right.
I wouldn't sign it.
Sure. Absolutely. Betsy, we gotta start kinda bringing this to a wrap up, but what are some final thoughts on this? Because then we're gonna move into something positive. I'm not quite sure what that is yet, but we're gonna move into something positive. We're gonna end on a positive note this time.
Well, we are moving toward the summit
Yeah.
in August, so we'll have the yearly educational summit in August. I already have Vice Painting signed up as my platinum event sponsor, and so I'm always grateful to Matt and Jean for sponsoring the event. They make it possible to have it at the beautiful Leesburg Venetian Center.
Mhm.
It'll be here again in Leesburg. I've already enlisted Miss Debbie to cook for us, so we'll
Nice.
have a lot of good food, and we'll also have our social happy hour across the parking lot at the Ski Beach restaurant. So it'll
Betsy,
it's turning into a reunion because the
it
same people
really it
come
really
all the
it
time.
is. If you've never been to one, it really is. I mean, there's so much socializing and happiness and hugs and everything before, during, and after sessions. It's really fun. It's something you've gotta experience. But
Mhm.
this is the opportunity for people to be able to sponsor right now. What if someone's watching, they're like, "Wait, how you can sponsor this? I can get some eyeballs on my
Mhm.
logo. I can let
Mhm.
people know about
Yep.
things that I'm doing." How would they
Yep.
do that? And what are you looking for?
I'm looking for a gold sponsor, two breakfast sponsors, 2 lunch sponsors, and I already have a media sponsor, which will be the Journal, and I'm always grateful to them for doing my advertising for it, and educational materials sponsor, and a happy hour sponsor.
Okay, so what areas of service? I'm just spitballing here, but what areas of service have you not had sponsoring before that you go, we could do? I know you've had
Well,
paint, you've had roofing, but what are
well, the
some
point
maybe we're unique that people go, oh, that's us. That's
well,
us.
I don't think I've ever had a pest control.
Okay.
I don't believe I've ever had a CPA.
Okay.
Hmm. I've had roofing, paving, painting. I've had banks. I
Cream.
think Valley Bank is going to be my bank sponsor this year. I've had a Fusion Hot Wire as a sponsor
Yes.
in the past. So not cable, but internet services. I have had in the past a restoration company, reserves, an attorney. So I've had those.
Right. So that's still a need.
And I'm hoping that those will be returning
Yeah.
as sponsors. This year, I will be limiting the sponsorship to 1 per type. So
First come, first serve. I'm just saying it's February. This is the
So,
time.
but
Yeah.
I'm grateful to Vice Painting for stepping up and
That's
being
awesome.
a platinum event sponsor.
Yeah.
So the room is taken care of. We will have a place.
That's important. Betsy, thank you so much. Thank you for pouring your heart and your life into this. It's something that this isn't just important to you. You're just passionate about it, and it comes through. So if you're watching these, we would so encourage you to not just watch them, but to share them and to like them and give them a rating. And that's it's the best way you can say thank you to Betsy. So it's February 2025 edition. CAM Matters. We will return next month. In the meantime, stay warm, Betsy. We love you, and we appreciate you being here. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Suzanne. Okay, bye.
Thank you for listening to CAM Matters. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. For more information, feel free to email Betsy at betsy@floridacamschools.com or visit the Florida Cam Schools website at www.floridacamschools.com. Information provided on this show is general in nature and does not constitute legal advice. Please contact a licensed attorney for your specific situation.